Hello out there. Today I'm going to be talking about Lars von Trier's Antichrist, a cabin in the woods thriller that is like no other that you've seen. This is a flick that has some of the most disturbing imagery I've ever seen in a movie, and I can't honestly say that I can recommend the movie because I think that's probably a dangerous place to put yourself, but I will say that it is a film that is like none other and is very interesting to watch. It's just not an easy watch. And I will say also that Willem Dafoe and Charlotte Gainsbourg are both rather excellent in their respective parts, and as a really almost like an experiment. It's really a film experiment. I think it succeeds. It's just that some of the imagery, especially toward the end, is a little much. I'll be honest. I think that Lars could have probably accomplished his goal without going to the levels of depravity that he did. But there's no denying this is straight out of like the world of like Hieronymus Bosch. It's truly disturbing stuff from Lars, and I'm not a huge fan of Lars. I love Melancholia. I think that's easily his most accessible film, and most it has all of the Lars trappings, but without the moral depravity that he tends to wallow in. I think it's actually a really good film, and I'll review that at some point later down the line. But with Antichrist, I will tell you that it is just a bizarre and disturbing piece of cinema that certainly warrants a watch. But can I recommend it? I don't think anyone really should recommend this movie. I think it should be, you go into it at your own risk. So this, of course, is the Criterion Blu-ray, and it looks good. There's some interesting imagery in here for sure, but actually, I don't think that the picture quality, and I think that this was deliberate, is necessarily the most crisp. There's some times when there's quite a bit of shudder and jitteriness in the frame, but I think that is intentional. And the sound design is terrific, however. I think the sound design is just amazing, and the songs that they've selected for the film and some of the vocalists, it's a haunting piece of sound design. And I think the images are good, but it's just not necessarily something that like blows you out of the water. I think it was more experimental. So this, of course, is the booklet that comes with the Criterion release, and as you can see, it's got some interesting imagery. This was a haunting piece of imagery here. And then there's this interesting little essay on Lars's career, and again some more production stills from the film. But I dipped into some of the supplemental features and found them to be pretty interesting. They certainly, lend a little bit of insight into Lars's mind, which is clearly disturbed. But I think as a filmmaker, there's no denying that Lars is like no other. But I don't necessarily think he's doing something that's always sort of art-worthy. I think it's more a matter of Lars just trying to be provocative for the sake of provocation. But there is no denying he's got a very active and disturbed imagination. He kind of reminds me like a more, believe it or not, sort of a more unedited David Lynch. He really goes for it and plumbs depths that I have rarely seen in other filmmakers' works. So there it is, Antichrist, released I believe in 2009, and on Criterion right now. I was actually able to pick this up at our local library, so it won't be sitting on my shelf, but I think it was absolutely worth a watch. So take care, everyone.